Hello, my royal subscribers and global thinkers. As you notice, my channel is still new and ongoing to develop new things. Your supports always encourage me. Anyway, welcome to another thrilling episode of Kaede's podcast from Bali, Indonesia. Today, we are exploring an event that is set to reshape our economic future, the recent Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. The meetings held in the vibrant city of Lima, Peru. The meeting is more than just a collection of letters. It's a collective of the world's most dynamic economies. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the sunny beaches of Bali, these nations are interconnected in ways that define our economic landscape. Imagine being part of a gathering where leaders from all corners of the Asia-Pacific region sit down to discuss not just trade and investment, but also pivotal issues like the future of work, sustainability, and ensuring no one is left behind as economies surge ahead. That's exactly what happened in Lima. In this episode, we'll take you behind the scenes to reveal what was discussed, agreed upon, and what it means for your world. Whether you're an economic guru or just curious about the forces shaping our future, this is one episode you won't want to miss. So, let's embark on this journey together. What brought these leaders to Lima? And why should you care? Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Happy listening and always learning.
Welcome to our deep dive into APEC 2024. We've got a whole bunch of sources here, official statements from APEC, expert analysis, reports straight out of Lima, even some global perspectives. We're really trying to cut through all the noise to bring you the most valuable insights.
Yeah.
So in a world, increasingly shaped by geopolitical shifts and constant technological disruption, where does APEC, and more importantly, where do you fit into all of this?
Well, it is fascinating to see how this year's APEC, held in Lima for its 35th anniversary, played out against, well, such a dynamic global backdrop.
Yeah.
You've got the recent U.S. election and its potential impact on trade policies on one hand, and then on the other, the growing presence of China, symbolized by President Xi Jinping inaugurating that massive Shanxi megaport near Lima.
Yeah, it's almost like two separate narratives running at the same time. Biden at the summit reaffirming U.S. commitment, and then you have Xi Jinping at this port that could totally reshape trade flows in the Pacific.
Right.
It really highlights those shifting tides in global power dynamics, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The Shanxi megaport is a powerful symbol of China's growing economic influence. But beyond those big headline events, APEC 2024 had some real substance. There were concrete discussions and outcomes on a number of key themes.
Right, let's delve into those themes then. Starting with sustainability, APEC seems to have really doubled down on its commitment to a greener future with some interesting initiatives.
The Just Energy Transition Initiative, or GTI, really stands out. It's designed to ensure a fair and inclusive shift to cleaner energy, leaving no one behind. It's acknowledging that transitioning to a sustainable future needs to consider the social and economic implications for everyone involved.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the issue of food waste, which often gets overlooked in these conversations. But APEC tackled it head on this year.
Indeed, they adopted the Trujillo principles for preventing and reducing food loss and waste in the Asia-Pacific region, aimed at cutting food waste in half across the region. It's a huge undertaking, but it demonstrates a commitment to addressing sustainability holistically. It makes you think, how might these global sustainability efforts affect your own life and choices?
It's definitely food for thought, no pun intended. Moving on, we saw digitalization and innovation taking center stage, which isn't surprising given the rapid pace of technological advancement.
Yeah, APEC recognized the transformative power of the digital economy and the need to bridge the digital divide. They focused on things like digital upskilling, fostering innovation, and data privacy.
And there's one detail that I found particularly interesting. They're exploring the use of low Earth orbit, or LEO satellites, to expand internet access in remote regions. It's a really innovative approach to a persistent challenge.
Yeah, it highlights how technology can offer solutions to complex problems, especially when it comes to connecting the unconnected more connected. But beyond technology, APEC also emphasized inclusivity and empowering all members of society to benefit from economic growth.
They particularly focused on empowering small and medium-sized enterprises, promoting women's economic empowerment, and supporting people with disabilities, which are often overlooked segments.
The Arequipa goals, for example, aim to improve education, training, and employment opportunities for people with disabilities by 2030. It's a concrete example of how APEC is translating its commitment to inclusivity into tangible goals.
So we've got sustainability, digitalization, inclusivity, all critical areas for progress. But in a world facing so many uncertainties, did APEC address the need for resilience, especially economic resilience?
They did. APEC focused on strengthening economic resilience by bolstering supply chains and promoting smoother trade and investment. This was particularly important given the backdrop of global uncertainties and potential shifts in trade policies.
Right.
So yeah, they definitely focused on that.
So we've got sustainability efforts tackling energy transitions and food waste, digitalization aiming to bridge the digital divide, and a strong emphasis on inclusivity. It sounds like a lot of progress, but we can't forget the long-standing goal of APEC, the Free Trade Area of the Asia-Pacific, or FTAP.
Right. The FTAP has been a central theme for APEC for years. And at this year's summit, leaders acknowledged the need to adapt the FTAP agenda to the changing realities of global trade. They're taking a more pragmatic approach, recognizing that it's no longer business as usual in the world of trade.
So this new look at the FTAP, what does it actually involve? How is it different?
Well, the ICMA statement released after the summit outlines some key elements for moving forward. One focus is analyzing where current free trade agreements are aligned and where they clash. It's about understanding what's working and what needs to change to create a more cohesive and effective trade landscape.
So it's less about starting from scratch and more about building on existing frameworks.
Precisely. Another important aspect is strengthening information sharing and capacity building. Not all APEC economies are at the same level of development or have the same trade expertise. Initiatives like the Information Sharing Mechanism on RTAs, FTAs, and the Capacity Building Needs Initiative are designed to level the playing field and ensure everyone can participate in the FTAP process.
That makes sense. It's about creating a more inclusive process that benefits all economies involved. We've touched on economic inclusion broadly, but APEC 2024 saw some interesting developments, particularly regarding support for small and medium-sized enterprises and women's economic empowerment.
Absolutely. For the first time, APEC held a joint meeting of ministers responsible for trade and ministers responsible for women. This signifies a commitment to placing gender equality at the forefront of economic policy discussions.
It sounds like a major step forward for gender equality in the region. Were there any tangible outcomes from this meeting?
Yeah, the meeting resulted in the endorsement of the Gender and Structural Reform Principles. These principles aim to remove barriers to women's full participation in the economy. It's about creating a level playing field, ensuring women have equal access to opportunities and resources.
It's encouraging to see concrete actions being taken to support women in business. And what about support for small and medium-sized enterprises? They play a vital role in many APEC economies.
Right. SMEs are the backbone of many economies in the region, and they have immense potential for growth and job creation. Several initiatives at APEC 2024 focused on helping SMEs integrate into global value chains. There was also a push to improve their access to digital tools, financial resources, and training, recognizing that these are often barriers to their success.
It seems like there was a real focus on empowering entrepreneurs and equipping them with the tools they need to thrive. We can't ignore the underlying geopolitical tensions, particularly between the U.S. and China, that were present at APEC 2024. How did these tensions manifest in the discussions, especially regarding trade?
Well, it's important to remember that APEC operates on consensus. While there are differing viewpoints and priorities, official statements and declarations generally reflect a more diplomatic tone. However, you can sense an undercurrent of competition, particularly when it comes to trade, technology, and infrastructure development.
The Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement, which was finally completed this year after years of negotiation, seems like a good example of this dynamic.
You're absolutely right. While this agreement is seen as a win for multilateralism and open trade, it's interesting to note who championed it. The U.S. was a major proponent, viewing it as a way to counter China's growing influence in the region.
So the agreement, while beneficial for trade overall, is also part of a larger strategic game between the U.S. and China for influence in the region.
Yeah, it's part of a broader strategy by the U.S. to strengthen economic ties with key partners in the Asia-Pacific. They're promoting what they see as a more rules-based and transparent trading system, which stands in contrast to China's approach.
And China is making its presence known through massive infrastructure projects like the Shanxi megaport. This seems to be their way of shaping the region's future.
That's a prime example of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a vast network of trade and infrastructure links spanning Asia, Africa, and Europe. It's a strategy that's having a tangible impact reshaping trade routes and influencing economic development. Essentially, you have two competing visions for the Asia-Pacific playing out. The U.S. model emphasizing free trade, open markets, and democratic values, and the Chinese model, which is more state-driven, focused on building economic and political influence through infrastructure and trade partnerships.
So with these two powerful forces shaping the landscape, where does APEC fit in? What role can it play in this new world order?
It's a complex question. APEC is a valuable forum for dialogue and cooperation, and it has a track record of achieving concrete results as seen with the FTAP and the Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement.
But can it truly remain neutral and focused on economic cooperation amidst this growing rivalry between the U.S. and China?
That's the challenge. APEC's consensus-based structure might not be equipped to handle increasingly contentious geopolitical issues. As this rivalry intensifies, APEC will need to find ways to maintain its focus on economic cooperation while navigating these competing visions for the region.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners? How did these global trends and geopolitical shifts trickle down and affect everyday life? We've covered a lot of ground: sustainability, digitalization, inclusivity, the FTAP, and even the geopolitical dynamics at play. But how does all of this translate to the everyday lives of our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, these might seem like high-level discussions happening on a global stage, but their effects ripple outwards, influencing economies and societies.
Could you give us some concrete examples, make it real for our listeners?
Sure, let's take sustainability. The commitments APEC made towards clean energy transitions and reducing food waste will drive innovation and investment in those sectors. This means new jobs, new products, and new services. It could affect what you see on supermarket shelves or how your energy is sourced.
So it's not just about setting targets, it's about tangible changes that could impact our daily choices.
Exactly. And consider the digital autonomy. APEC's focus on digitalization and bridging the digital divide is about ensuring that everyone has access to the opportunities of the digital world.
Yeah, that resonates with me. We often take internet access for granted, but for many in the APEC region, it's still a barrier to education, healthcare, and economic participation.
Right. That's why their exploration of using LEO satellites to expand internet access is so significant. It has the potential to be transformative for those communities.
Okay, so sustainability and digitalization have clear implications. What about the FTAP? How would a potential free trade area affect the average person?
Well, free trade agreements can lower the costs of imported goods, making everyday products more affordable. They can also open up new markets for businesses, creating jobs and stimulating economic growth.
But there are concerns that free trade agreements can also lead to job losses in certain sectors.
That's a valid concern, and it underscores why APEC is emphasizing inclusivity in the FTAP. It's about ensuring the benefits of trade are widely shared, and that support systems are in place for those who might be negatively impacted.
It's a good reminder that trade is ultimately about people, not just economic indicators. We've talked a lot about inclusivity and empowerment. What can everyday individuals do to contribute to these goals, even at a local level?
There are many ways to get involved. Support businesses committed to sustainability and ethical practices. Advocate for policies that promote digital inclusion and access to education and training. Support organizations that empower women and underrepresented groups.
That's about being conscious consumers, informed citizens, and active participants in our communities.
Precisely. APEC 2024 provided a glimpse into a future full of complexities and challenges, but it also highlighted the potential of cooperation, innovation, and a shared vision for a better world.
It's something we can all be a part of, regardless of where we live. It's been an insightful deep dive into APEC 2024, packed with information and perspectives. For those who want to explore further, we'll include links to all our sources in the show notes.
Yeah, the pursuit of knowledge doesn't stop here. APEC 2024 is just one chapter in a much larger story. Keep exploring, questioning, and connecting the dots.
In a world that's increasingly interconnected, understanding these global trends is more crucial than ever. Until next time, keep diving deep.